It's midday right here in Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome to Lunchtime Politics, reaching you live from our global headquarters. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Let's bring you our top stories. It's time to evaluate global governance structure for greater inclusion and equity. President Bola Tinubu charges leaders of the BRICS nation in Brazil. And the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party says he still has an eye on the Nigeria's top political job and not playing second fiddle, although he's part of the coalition of political parties driving their agenda through the ADC. And the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission secures the conviction of 12 persons charged with unlicensed operations of pyramid businesses in Nigeria. There's a lot to unpack and binge through as far as the polity is concerned. Thanks again for joining us. It's an all-access pass to big happenings in the polity and in politics. Let's tell you that just moments ago, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, announced how it has secured the conviction of 12 persons charged with unlicensed operations of pyramid businesses in Nigeria. At a workshop organized by the Securities and Exchange Commission for Judges with a theme, Repositioning the Nigerian Capital Market for Economic Transformation through Alternative Dispute Resolution, the EFCC chairman, Mr. Ola Olukoyede, explains that 48 others are currently facing legal proceedings before the court. He says the commission will not condone any act that undermines investors' confidence or dampens the fairness in the nation's capital market. In March 2025, the EFCC charged a total of 58 operators of Ponzi schemes to court. Let's head outside our shores, where the President Bola Tinubu is calling for the re-evaluation of current global governance structure and the financial and healthcare systems, urging greater equity and inclusion for low-income and emerging economies, particularly in Africa. At the 17th meeting of the Global South and Emerging Economies Bloc, known as BRICS, in Rio de Janeiro, that's in Brazil, the president stated that the environmental degradation, the climate crisis, healthcare inequalities should receive more attention as they contribute to slowing growth and development. President Tinubu stated that Nigeria supports the BRICS position on the need to focus on collective, fair, and equitable global development.
We firmly believe
the African continent is creating the path through the African carbon market initiative and Great Green Wall. We believe that eventually COP30 will strengthen our resolve to strategically embrace a healthy global environment. Therefore, we believe Nigeria remains guided by our long-term vision 2050 and nationally determined contribution. We are taking bold steps to accelerate renewable energy adoption, mainstream climate action, promote nature-based solutions, strengthen urban resilience, champion South-South cooperation, align with global renewal framework, achieving unilateral healthcare coverage for all.
Well, while the Global South is having that conversation in South Africa, in Rio de Janeiro, that's in Brazil, I should say, President Donald Trump in the North is saying that any country backing anti-American policies from the BRICS alliance will face, in his words, extra 10% tariff. He made a declaration via Truth Social, warning there could be no exceptions. His post follows strong criticism from BRICS nation over U.S. tariffs and IMF policies. The group, now expanded to include Egypt, Iran, and others, is pushing for reforms for global financial systems and currency evaluation or valuation as BRICS leaders met in Rio. They condemned recent U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran and called for diplomacy amid growing global tensions. Meanwhile, China says it firmly opposes the use of tariffs as a tool for coercion, responding to U.S. President Donald Trump's threat of an extra 10% tariff on BRICS-aligned nations. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said at a briefing on Monday that such actions, in his words, serve no one and warned against using trade as pressure tactics. Let's come back on where the Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 presidential election, Peter Obi, says he will not be a vice presidential candidate for anyone at the 2027 elections, officially stating his intention to be a front runner at the polls. In an interview on our political program Sunday Politics, Mr. Obi adds that he has not left the Labour Party, dispelling rumors of an exit.
Nobody has ever discussed with me whether I'm going to be A or B or C. Shehu, I'm going to contest for the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and I believe I'm qualified for it.
So at some point you are going to leave Labour Party, is that it?
Well, where we are, the coalition, this coalition might have other parties that will come together, like it's happened in the past, and change the name of the party, anything. But right now, we've adopted one party. The other ones are going to come in. So we can't say whether we're going to leave this or we're going to come into this. What is constant now is that we've all agreed to work together. I said I'm a member of this, and I'm going to work with this group. So it's like, oh, well, I want to invest in this company, where they say, oh, you cannot be in two companies at the same time. But I have indicated my intention. I want to go into this. That is not.
Well, you don't see it as anti-party.
No. There's not an anti-party.
No, because I don't think the Labour Party has agreed to
remember, we said for 2027. Say we're not in 2020, we're in 2025. It's clear. We've adopted this for 2027. So if I say I'm going to this, that doesn't say, oh, well, listen, I want to be sharing, I want to be able to be part of your dinner in the evening. That doesn't mean I should abandon my breakfast and lunch. I'm part of a coalition which will be able to produce a competent president with the capacity, compassion to save this country. I will not use 150 billion to buy a jet when 80% of our primary health care centers are not functioning.
Even as against security protocols.
Which security?
You've been a governor, you know what it means.
No, what do you mean security? That's what they tell. That's nonsense they tell. I was a governor for my first 4 years. I drove 406. For the rest of it, I didn't drive bulletproof cars. Nobody's trying to kill you. You're doing the right thing. That's not governance. The country needs governance. I said it and I put it in capital. I don't need a day more than 4 years. In fact, the day
and
before.
You fix Nigeria in those 4 years.
It's not fair. I will show the direction of good governance.
You've been a two-term governor. Why do you want to?
In 2 years, there had been management damage. That shows 3 years can change it in good direction.
Well, your guess is as good as mine. Interesting days ahead as far as the coalition and the party politics is concerned as we build up to the 2027 presidential elections. As a matter of fact, it looks like governance has taken the back corner. Now we're going to be inundated with a lot of conversation around politics. And this issue around who is going to be the flag bearer, or standard bearer as it is called, in the coalition is going to be the first litmus test ahead. But that's still a long walk. Maybe about a year from now, we'll get clarity as to how that will pan out for the coalition. But for now, they've just started to give the opposition or the ruling party some level of, some will agree and disagree, some shake-up as to who is going to hold the government accountable. But let's tell you more stories now. As part of effort to protect lives of students and learning environment in Lagos, the Nigerian Police Force has launched what they call the Safe School Protection Squad. They're speaking at the two-day event. The Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Lagos and Ogun State, who represented the IGP, explains that the program will better secure the lives of our future leaders. The Safe School initiative and idea mooted by the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Gbetoku, is to protect schools across the country.
To save the children, between 2015 to date, an estimated 1,500 to 1,800 students have been abducted. Same year, Nigeria signed on the Safe School Declaration, committing to safeguard students, teachers, and educational facilities from attacks. At this gathering in Lagos, the composition of attendees speaks volume. One could guess the topic of discussion. In attendance are very senior police officers and members of other security services, traditional and community leaders, clerics, academics, and students.
Anyone who is well to do, as it were, in education would think.
They are here for the launch of the Stakeholders Forum on Security of Schools in Lagos State and training of the Schools Protection Squad.
Our very own Assistant Inspector General.
The Inspector General of Police is represented by the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Lagos and Ogun State, Adegoke Fayoade. He highlights the commitments of the police in securing the students and their learning environment.
School insecurity is not only a breach of the right to education, it is a discrete threat to global peace and human capital development. It challenges the international commitment to Sustainable Development Goal 4 SDG, ensuring quality education, and Goal 16, promoting peace, justice, and strong institutions. Other global actors such as Israel and the United States of America, like Nigeria, scale up protection and are demonstrating proactive models that combine law enforcement, police innovation, and community engagement to fortify school safety.
The host Commissioner of Police, Olorundare Jimoh, and the Commissioner of Police in charge of the School Protection Squad, Abayomi Shogunle, highlights the need to secure the lives of our future leaders.
Your presence here today underscores our shared commitment and collaboration to safeguarding one of our most precious assets, that's our children, our schools, and their education. The theme for today's forum, strengthening security resilience and integration of host communities in the protection of schools, is more timely and very critical at this time than any other time.
I'm delighted to inform this gathering that the Nigerian police force now have a 24/7 functioning emergency center dedicated solely to responding to schools' emergencies. And the contact of this center is as seen at the back page of the program we are holding and also on our attendance tag on our neck.
The National Coordinator on Financing Safe Schools and the State Commissioner for Education speak on the need for collaboration at all levels for the success of the initiative.
In the pursuit of providing every child in Nigeria with a safe and nurturing educational environment, in line with the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kayode Gbetoku, has established a special squad dedicated for safe schools to enhance safety and security in school and host communities, and ensuring that collaboration is key in fostering secure learning spaces for our children and the future of our nation.
The Safe School Declaration document is a policy put in place to ensure that our school space are secured to protect the people's, students, staff personnel, and properties. It is our core duties and responsibility to entrench full protections that arises from external threats such as kidnapping, child trafficking, and communal clashes.
Lagos, as Nigeria's economic hub, is among 18 other states in Nigeria selected as pilot states to kick off the Safe School initiative in Nigeria.
Great idea. Let's bring in our guests. Two of them, Jide Ojo and Umar Aminu, both public affairs analysts. Mr. Ojo, Mr. Umar, thank you so much for coming on the program. Mr. Ojo, let's confess to you on this issue of the coalition. That is a big conversation. It's going to be a big conversation for a long time. And you and I have been talking about the issue of politics for quite a while. So I want to find out from you, is your money on this coalition? First litmus test, who is going to bury their pride and interest for whoever is going to be the flag bearer? It looks like that's where everybody is looking at, because everybody looks like they want the top job. What do you see, Mr. Ojo?
Thank you, Geoffrey. I will put money on there. I'm not a pool better. I'm not a gamer. I do not play Baba Jebu. But I think it's good to have them. They will add value to the system. They will put government of the day on their toes. Most likely, we will reap, the citizenry will reap the benefit of better governance system in place. Because as it were, you know, the conversation you and I have had on this platform and several other platforms has been whether the de facto one-party system is good for Nigeria. And I've said repeatedly, it is unhealthy, it is undemocratic, it is unethical to have a one-party state, even though it is de facto one-party state and the jure multi-party system. But now that the political juggernauts are congregating around the party platform, I think the ruling party at the center will be more awake to its responsibility, will be watching over its shoulders, knowing full well that it could be upstaged. So to that extent, it's a welcome development. Even if INEC decides to register more parties, the more the merrier. The most important thing is that I hope we can reap the maximum benefits of having a multi-party democracy where true and genuine opposition will be at play and not ego and self-serving interest as we are likely going to see with ADC. Because you raise a very fundamental question. Who will step down for who? Everybody wants the plum job, the top job. And it's like number one, number two position is the one that is the most desired. And you can see people making commitments that I will do one term, I will do one term, all because they want to be in a prime position to get the ticket for 2027. However, between the promise and the promised land, there is always a wilderness. The ADC is likely going to go going through the wilderness experience of litigations. I foresee that a lot. Don't forget, before the coalition moved last Thursday, even the ADC is in the courts to challenge the continued leadership of Chief Ralph Okenwosu. And that case has not been dispensed with. Now that he has yielded the floor for former number 3 citizen, David Mark, to take over from him. And then the secretaryship position have gone to Ogbeni Ralph Aregbesola. There will be a test case in the court to determine whether their transition or their emergence in those positions were legal and legitimate. So I foresee a lot of litigations around the takeoff of ADC as the third force.
All right, let's bring in Mr. Omar. Maybe you call it legal landmines in that sense, but we spoke to the BOT chairman who had said that there was a case at the Federal High Court, went on the way to the appeal and then to the Supreme Court, where the people who pursued that appeal, who are now contending against Mr. Nwosu, withdrew that appeal. So we're still looking at all the details of that story. But times have actually changed. Between 2015 rather, and when we'll get to 2025, God willing, it's going to be 12 years. When you look at this coalition, what are the reality you think they should embrace or they're already embracing, given that the fact that times have changed? For example, as at then, the PDP government and Jonathan were properly marketed to the point where Nigerians said anything other than Jonathan is fine, and we landed somewhere. What do you think that narrative is? What do you think is going to be the new narrative 12 years apart?
I think the narrative is an interesting one to look at, particularly when you consider the results of the 2015 election, because the result of the 2023 election are quite interesting, because it's now bring Nigeria to a new scheme of things when it comes to election. It is no more a bipolar issue when you have mostly two parties contesting. We have a tripartite contest, which was indeed each of the parties participated very well. And this is why I think all the politicians in Nigeria are thinking scientifically, because that result have changed the terrain drastically. When during the Jonathan era, I think the merger have more time, because they have enough time to have already floated the APC then than what we have at the instant stage. We have already passed midterm, and the coalition, the merger of this time is coming after the midterm election. So I think one of the things to look at is the other one. I think they have more the luxury of time to put in a good context, while in the present one, it is not that very much of time that they have. And equally, though looking at the 2023, when you have the two runners-up, that is the former vice president and indeed the former governor, Peter Obi, they all scored above 6 million of the votes, each of those parties, while the ruling party who got the flag of the presidency have something above 8 million. So this is a good narrative. And now when you have those two actors coming in a party, in a merger, I think what remains to be seen is the fallout that occasioned their tripartite contest in 2023. How will they resolve that? Because the main factor because it is that every one of them want to have the ticket. That is the former vice president and Peter Obi as well.
Mr. Ojo, let's come to you. As a matter of fact, Bola Tinubu only became president because PDP could not resolve their internal issues. 1.4, Kwankwaso, 6.9, Atiku Abubakar, 6.1, Peter Obi, cumulatively 14 million as against 8.7 million. And so now we are here again on the same race. Perhaps we don't know who's going to emerge and who is going to support who. So from you, what are you looking at as to be the strategy they should deploy for Nigerians to take them seriously?
Well, the strategy would be to work for the unity of the party, to do the needful to ensure that there is proper structure in place. It is structure that wins election, not individuals per se. And then the ward, local government and state structures of ADC have to be properly in place for it to stand a good chance. And then the leadership must be such that there will be a fair, equitable, and just nomination process. Irrespective of who they throw up, I hope there will be no fallout of, there will be no post-primary blues. Because, Geoffrey, what we see from time immemorial is that after all the nominations, you now have alignment and realignment of forces. Those who have been denied tickets on one platform will move their allegiance elsewhere, where they hope to realize their interest. And then the internal scoreboards within that party may rob them of victory at the state and the national level. So if they are able to present together a harmonious and a united front, when there is implosion in APC, they stand to gain maximally. But if they are not in a position to resolve their state, local government, and ward scoreboards, and then they don't have a united national working committee and national executive committee, then it will be a house divided against itself. And we must not rule out PDP. PDP from last week seems to have kind of patched itself up with the recall of Sam Dadi, that is Senator Sam Ayawu, to resume his position as the secretary of the party. And if they are able to have a successful convention next month or thereabouts, they will present an alternate, a formidable alternative. Don't forget that likely Atiku lost last election because, not necessarily because Peter Obi moved out or because of Kwakwanso, but because 5 governors of the party, led by Nyesom Wike, did not also work for the party. And that is 5 states, basically, that could have mobilized a lot of votes for the party that did not do so. Assuming that those 5 states, 5 states were able to deliver their respective states to PDP, the story could have been different.
Okay. Let's bring in Mr. Omar, your last take on this. Going forward, would the APC be taking a risk, not looking at this coalition seriously? You have just 30 seconds, sir.
I think in politics, there is no room for underestimation. All the same, I think it will take a great ingenuity on the part of the ADC to really put a very, very strong contention. Taking note that they have critical and very vibrant, technocrats like El Rufai and the others. I think it will have to be a double effort and really an ingenuity similar to what we see in Labour Party during the 2023 election. I think this is where to go to bring an alternative for Nigerians, because unless Nigerians see a better alternative, I don't think they will even scratch the ground as we pour. My sincere opinion. Thank you.
Fantastic points. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Mr. Ojo, Mr. Omar, we're going to be calling on both of you. These are early days, so we're staying with the politics, and we're going to go to the policies when they put their house in order. That's when the real questions about alternative ideas will come in. But I must thank you, Jide Ojo, Umar Aminu, public affairs analyst, joining us. Thank you, sirs. We appreciate you.
My pleasure. Get the rest of your week. Keep safe.
And that's it on the program. Thanks for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye.